Welcome to Seeing with Your Soul, the podcast aimed to inspire you to find your voice and become the best, truest, and most authentic version of yourself. Spiritually intimate, soul-to-soul conversations, life-changing insights, and spiritual teaching and healing. Real, raw, unfiltered. Join your host, Tisha Michelle.
Do your best to not allow your current circumstances to define who you are. And know that in those moments of darkness, grief, sadness, loneliness, that there's light and wisdom waiting to come in the moment that you decide to surrender. Welcome and welcome back to another episode of Seeing with Your Soul with me, Tisha Michelle, your host. Hi. How is everyone feeling? Oh, check in with yourself. Ask yourself in this present moment, how am I feeling? Before we even get to the gratitude, how am I feeling right now? Yes. All right. So in this present moment, I definitely would say that I am grateful for the lady who asked if I was okay. So as I was sitting outside of one of my properties, I love saying that now. I had to wait for the power company, the water company, and the contractor to come. So I'm sitting outside in front of the house in my car, just waiting for everybody to come and taking care of some things. So I got there, I had to be there at 8 because the water was between 8 and 4. So I was there about 8 and this lady pulls up, the house across the street from there. And it's really like this, the street is small. So it was like basically we're side by side, just enough for a car to go down in between. And she got there, it was probably maybe about 8:20 and she went into the house. And at this point now it's like almost 10, I'm still outside or whatever. And she's going to her car and she looks at me, we make eye contact and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Oh, okay, this is what we do around here. We just got to check on our people." And I just, I rolled the window down a little bit more. And I was like, "Yeah," I just purchased this property here. And I'm just, I'm waiting for, a couple people to show up. And she's like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "Yeah." She was like, "I used to actually live in that house." She said, "I lived there for 12 years until they sold it." So when she lived there for the 12 years, that person sold it to the person that sold it to me. So then she just started talking to me about, how she really liked it. She was like, "You made a good investment." She was like, the neighborhood and like the neighbors, she's like, are really good. And she really was, sad when she had to leave, but she's not that far from here. She's about three blocks over. So, we just chatted for a little bit and it was really cool. It was really, really cool because she didn't have to ask if I was okay. Right? She just noticed that, there's this person that's just sitting in the car and just, whether she thought I was like creepy or what. But, I was just sitting in the car and my car could have broken down and, and I needed like some help or was waiting. Like she didn't know, but I really thought that was really thoughtful of her to ask if I was okay. And then ironically, she lived in the house that I'm, getting work done on for like 12 years. Like how ironic is that? Nothing is ironic. But I just thought that was really cool. And honestly, it felt good. Right. If you've been listening to me for a while, you would have heard me probably talk about how a lot of times we really don't have people, too often that really like check on us, right? Or, that surface level, like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And then before you can even answer or finish it, they're asking you the question or they're telling you their story or whatever the case, because they really don't care how you're doing. It's just something to say, so it felt good, this morning, just, her asking, was I okay? And then saying, I just wanted to check it. That's what we do around here. We check on our peoples, and I was so appreciative of that. And then we just had like it was probably about 10-minute conversation. But it was really like refreshing and it was nice. So I would definitely say that in this present moment, that is absolutely what I am grateful for. What about y'all? Y'all done checked in with yourself, right? And seen like how it is that you're feeling in this present moment. In this present moment, what are you guys grateful for? Now, unless you're driving, let's go ahead and just get grounded a little bit. Then I want you guys to close your eyes. And now I just want you to take a nice deep breath and you're just going to breathe in through your nose and just let it out through your mouth. Yes, yes, and yes. Again, let's take another nice deep breath, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. All right, one more. Another nice deep breath, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Yes, yes, yes. Don't you just feel good? Relaxing yourself, calming down that nervous system, especially if you've been overstimulated. Relax, relax, relax. All right. So, in this present moment, what are you grateful for? Express that gratitude. Put it out there. Yell it out. Say it in your head. Write it down. You can dance around while you're expressing what you're grateful for. All right, guys. We about to wrap up 2021. Time warp. So I feel like this year has just flown by. So probably about, God, it's been a long time. Maybe like 10 years, to be honest. So my youngest son just turned 11. Yeah, so maybe about 10, probably about for the last 10 years, like I just was done with New Year's resolutions. It might have even been longer than that, and I think a lot of it too was because I would just say, yeah, this is my New Year's resolution. And 3-4 days in, I'm done. It's a wrap. It's over. I'm jumped off of that train onto something else. So I was just like, this is just stupid. So, I really just stopped doing, setting the New Year's resolutions and really just, looked at things differently. And even since I've been looking at things, differently, like what do I just want to do with my life and just changes I want to make and not being so hard on myself, those things have started to evolve and change as well. So like now, as I'm heading into 2022, it's not about setting the New Year's resolutions. It's just that as a human in America, this is what we do. We say, okay, when January comes, that's a new year, and we're going to have these resolutions and we're going to make these different changes. And I wholeheartedly believe we can make changes whenever it is that we want. We don't have to wait until the new year. However, it is more of a thing that we would do. So there's nothing wrong with, saying, okay, this is what I'm going to, to start, for, 2022 or whatever that year may be. But knowing that things can change as you continue to evolve, and you can make changes in January, in February, like in March, in December, like we could be December 31st and you just made a complete change. Like it's whenever it is that you want, however, majority of people, they're looking and going to this year. So the way I'm looking at it now going into the next year is I'm looking at just picking 2 words that's going to reflect my 2022, right? And those 2 words for me is intention and expansion. While I do my best to try to be very intentional with everything that I do, I don't. I'm human. I don't. Sometimes I'll just say yes when I absolutely know that I should be saying no. It's like, what is my intention with this? Oh, is my intention just to please you? Like, that's not cool, because when I'm pleasing you, I might be hurting myself, right? So for 2022, I want to be a lot more intentional with every single thing that I do. Anything that I have my hands on, anything that's in my personal life, is the conversations, the people in my life, it just needs to be very intentional. And also expansion. I want to expand in the things that I am doing. I no longer will play small. I no longer will do things on a micro level. Why can't I do it on a macro level? Like, do whatever the hell I want. Or if I was doing something on a macro and I want to do it on a micro, like whatever, like it's just going to be expansion. But what that means to me when I say expands doesn't have to be huge, or it could be huge, but really defining intention and defining expansion, like for myself, right? Also going a little bit deeper into like being intentional. It's like looking at it from the standpoint of like, what's your North Star? Like, what's my North Star, right? And for those that don't know, like your North Star is your personal mission statement. It's like a fixed destination that you can depend on in your life, even as the world changes around you. So for example, like Nelson Mandela's mission was to liberate all people from continuing bondage of poverty and suffering and gender and other forms of discrimination. Right. So when I'm being like intentional, it's like I had to remind myself to go back to what is my North Star? What is my mission? Right. What is that mission for Tisha? Like, what is your North Star? What is your mission? And when I look at it for my mission in life is to speak, live, and own my truth while guiding others to theirs, and also reminding them that there's more to life than just existing. So that's my mission, right? That's my North Star. So how can I be intentional with that, right? What is it that I'm doing? Are the things that I am doing in my life intentional and leading up into what my mission is, right? So if my mission in life is to speak and live and own my truth, but I'm playing small and I'm keeping quiet and I'm not speaking up, like, that's a disservice to to my North Star. So I had to remind myself when I did some reflecting, which is something that I want you guys to do. Like, how do you plan to prepare for the next year? Right? How do you plan to prepare for the next year or the next quarter, whatever way it is that you're breaking it down? Or are you reflecting? Like, or are you reflecting on the choices you've made this far? Those decisions, those ideas, those goals, those plans. What does that look like? How are you preparing? Are you taking time to journal these things out? Are you looking back at things, or are you avoiding because maybe this year you made, excuse me, some choices that you consider to be poor choices that had some painful consequences? Are you just like, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it because it makes me feel super uncomfortable? Or are you facing it head on and saying, you know what, I want to look at these choices that I made, see what it is that I learned from that, and what can I do differently as I step into a new paradigm, a new year, a reset, right? Depending on how it is that you look at, because we can do a reset whenever we want. But right now, podcast purposes, we talk about going into 2022 because 2020 and 2021 was, whew, right? And when I look at my North Star and my business, right? My mission there, my North Star there when it comes to business is to create a soul-centered company, and this company that serves others while providing stability for myself and also transfers wealth to my children. I talked about this on the last podcast when I was talking about getting into real estate. The way that I was running my business went with the doing like my readings and doing my alignment programs and just, working with people and their traumas and all of that. That definitely is a soul-centered company that serves other people and provides stability for myself, but it doesn't transfer wealth to my children. I can't pass that on. Right? So I wasn't being as intentional when it comes to my company or companies. It doesn't have to just be one. So I had to do a lot of reflecting into that. And it's like, okay, so here we are going into, now I'm incorporating the real estate aspect because that real estate can transfer wealth to my children and I can keep it going. And like I talked about in the last episode, when I reincarnate, I can come back into this lineage and I can enjoy the fruits of the labors that I'm doing now in this lifetime. So, however, with this real estate, I can also incorporate the other things too. So now I'll have one of these spaces is going to be a home for Heal, Align, and Glow, where I'll still be able to do these things, bring in other holistic practitioners and be able to offer even more to the collective. And then also with the properties that I'm continuing to get, I will be creating the senior care homes. So I'll be providing housing for seniors so they don't have to go to an assisted living facility. They don't have to be just a number and be, where it's one care provider to 17 clients. So you're not really getting any type of attention. So you might not be able to stay in your home, and you're not into the point where, with my other business where we go into the home and care for you. But now you can actually live in a house where it's still that homey feeling and you're with 2 or 3 other people, but you still have that that supervision. It's more affordable than going into an assisted living, but it still give you that feeling of that dignity and that comfort and that family, like, without having to feel like you're in an institution. Yeah, y'all feel me? So now I get to combine everything. I get to have that soul-centered company that is serving other people. It is providing stability for myself. And it's also going to transfer wealth to my children so they can keep it going. Right? So this is what I mean when I say about being even more intentional. So I'm going to be more intentional with everything that I do and make sure that it's lining up with my North Star, with what my mission statement is. So what is your mission statement? Have you ever really thought about a mission statement when it comes to you personally? Like, what is it that you are seeking to do? And it's that destination that's there that doesn't matter what's going on in the world. That's still there. That is what you're seeking to do. And can your mission statement, your North Star change? Absolutely. It's not something that you have to be stuck with like your whole, your whole life as you continue to evolve and grow as a being. That may change, and that's okay. But it's when we're able to kind of narrow something down is when we feel even more of a sense of purpose, where we just feel like we're like, okay, have you ever felt like, we how we talk about being like in the rat race, and when it's just this rat race, or Groundhog Day, every day is the same shit. Every day the same thing. You're like, what are we doing this for? And I get people that say that to me. They're like, what am I doing this for? Or they'll say, what are we doing this for? What is the purpose of this? Right? Even on a more practical level, when I joined the military after boot camp and the training and all of that, and I was stationed at in Hinesville, Georgia, and my unit was a signal unit. And I remember saying to my sergeant, shout out to Sergeant V, he's so dope. He taught me like a lot of like life skills, a lot about the military and everything. I remember saying to him one day, what is the purpose? I'm like, what are we doing here? I'm like, what is the purpose of the military? If we're not fighting a war, what is the purpose? And I was dead ass serious. And I just said to him, I said, what are we doing this for? I don't even really understand it. Like, what are we doing this for? So it just felt like it was so meaningless and so not full of purpose. Like what the hell is your mission statement here? What did I get myself into? And I felt that for a really long time. And it was really like, almost like they couldn't really explain it to me, or maybe it was I just wasn't getting it. I really just didn't understand why every day I got to keep counting the same things. I was in logistics. I was a supply specialist / armor. So I dealt with everything from accountability, from freaking toilet paper to vehicles. Right. And then I also worked with the armor. So I worked with the weapons. So I had to keep inventory of it, but I also had to do all of the maintenance on it. So if they had to go down to the shooting range and something was wrong with, their M16, like I was the one to go out there and I had to fix it. Right. Yeah, I ain't know that about me, did y'all? I don't know. I probably talked about it before. But your girl's badass. Yes. Do have a love for weapons. But anyway, so I'm like, yo, why I gotta keep inventory every day of the same shit? Ain't nothing changed. Ain't nothing changed. It was like every day was like this hurry up and wait, this busy, running out into formation. Every day was a formation, 3 times a day. And then there was this and that. And I just didn't understand what was this for. Like, do you feel like, have you ever, or do you feel like that now in your life? Like every day is the same. And you're like, what am I doing this for? What is the purpose? What is my goal? What is my statement, my mission statement? And this is something that I want you guys to reflect on right now as we start to wrap up 2021. Really think about it from a standpoint of, what am I doing this for? What is my statement? Write a statement out. Write a statement out for yourself. And I'll read mine again so you can kind of get like an idea. Not an idea of like what yours, but just like how it is. So I'd say my mission in life is to speak, live, own my truth, guide others to theirs, and remind them that there's more to life than just existing. Now, how I do that is up to me. I do that through a lot of different vehicles. One of those vehicles is my podcast. One of them is my podcast. There's absolutely more to life than just existing. Abso-fucking-lutely. And I'll share that. I'll talk about that on the podcast. And that will be me reminding you that there's more to life than existing. And I also get to, speak my truth on here. I'll tell you the things that's, that I feel, true about, or how I'm feeling about something. Right. Then when it goes to my business, I said my mission is to create a soul-centered company that serves others, provides stability for me, and transfers wealth to my children. So when I say a soul-centered company, it's not this company that's I'm out here like, I don't give a fuck about anybody. I want the money and that's it. And it's a one-sided thing. No, I got core values. One of my core values is love, and love should be that foundation of it. Then there's quality. I want to provide a quality product to people, whether that product is a house, whether that product is my service, whether that product is a class that I offer and I have somebody else here. It's going to be quality, right? And then it just goes, it goes on. So really think about your North Star and write out your mission. Write out your mission statement. What is that fixed destination that is there, and that you get to use different vehicles that's going to get you there, so you don't feel like when you wake up every day is Groundhog Day. I've been there before. Trust me. I have been there before. While I love a routine, I love a ritual, I love, doing certain things in the morning before my day gets started, and that feels good. After that, there's been times I'm like, so now what? Now what? Now what am I doing? What is this for? Like, what is this for? Like, every day can't just be the same. And this doesn't feel like I'm really getting anywhere. It doesn't feel like I'm being meaningful or purposeful. So this is where the reflection comes in. So think about, like, how do you plan to prepare going into this new year? Are you looking at this new year as a blank slate? The only thing that you're taking to this blank slate is the lessons and the wisdom that you learned from 2021. And now you're equipped with a little bit more. And now you're going to add on and create something beautiful. Like, what does that look like? So Rachel Rodgers, one of the things that she talks about is doing an annual money review. And it's pretty dope. So if you're not following her, I think she's like Rachel Rodgers, I don't know, ESQ or something like that, because she's an attorney. Well, she does this thing, and she has this couple pages, like maybe like 8 or 10 pages, and it's your annual money review. And it has you really sit back and reflect on like your finances. For me, I avoided that for a really, really long time. I don't want to look at that shit. I don't want to look at how I fucked up this money. I don't want to look at that. That shit's awful, And then just like everything else, I realized I have to look at these things. I have to face this uncomfortable stuff so I can see what I learned or what I didn't learn and I still need to learn, so that way as I'm going into the next quarter or the next year, whatever it is, I'm doing things differently so I don't have that same experience, because I don't want to have that experience anymore. So she asked a question like, what's $1 million decision that you made in 2021? And what's a broke ass decision that you made in 2021? And that's where the pain is at, right? The pain is in the part where you're just like, oh man, I should have never did that shit. But instead of beating yourself up, you face it to say, okay, this was not the best decision and I don't want to make this decision again. So I'm going to do something different. Right. And we're facing like that fear. So instead of just only doing an annual money review, just review everything. She also has this one part where you're doing an annual review on your friendships. Ooh, right. Looking at the people that you're with the most. And it really, she has these different questions that it, asks, was this person here for me? What are the conversations? Things such as that sort, where you're reviewing. And, some people are like, this person is not going with me into 2022. And that's okay. Doesn't mean that something bad per se happened. It's just not a part of what it is that it's not a part of your mission statement. Maybe it's not a part of the 2 words that you're going to create, that you're going to pick, that you're going to take into 2022. I don't know. But, the whole purpose of this is to say, reflect on these different areas now in your life and, get more intentional on what it is that you're doing. So it will help you with that air quotes, guys, that stuck feeling, that blocked feeling, that feeling like every day is the exact same and you don't even know what you're working towards. Let's get clear. Because remember, there is absolutely more to life than just existing. Way more to life. And once you can embrace and realize that and start working towards whatever it is. Whatever your mission statement is perfect. Whatever it is for you, it's perfect. And remember, it can always change as you start to evolve. So you don't have to be locked into something. As you continue to evolve and you hit this certain, peak just in your life, and, your higher self is like, yeah, let's go, baby. Like, what's up? All right. So we mastered this and this feels good. And we did this, and now it's time to pivot. And that's okay. But the thing is even getting to all of that, you have to reflect now on your life and look at the things that, were great, the things that were not so great, those experiences, like, I always say experience is the greatest teacher. What do those experiences teach you? And what do you want to do with it from there? So I encourage you to do some reflecting and pick some type of way that you're going to plan to prepare for your 2022. I highly suggest getting out of your environment, going somewhere. I don't know where the weather is like where you're at, going maybe to a park to kind of like sit and reflect. If you're able to, financial wise, maybe go rent like a hotel or Airbnb somewhere, even if it's in your same city. Just get out of your current environment, because a lot of times that can kind of make you feel a little blocked, because all you may see is just what's around you. And it might be to that point where it doesn't allow you to see more for yourself. Right. So if you can get out of your environment to do this, that would be dope. If you could do it with some people that also are seeking to do the same thing, that's dope too. But, do it however you want. Right. And just do this annual review of the different areas of your life and look at it, like create your mission statement. And I'd love for you guys to share it with me. Once you create it, or maybe you already have it. If you have my cell phone number, send me a text or read it out to me, or send it to me on Instagram at Mindset Slater. I love to see what, everyone's mission statement is, what your North Star is. And then also I encourage you to pick one or two words. One or two words is going to represent 2022 for you. Again, mine is intention and expansion. Like, what are your word or your words? And you know what? And of course, if you got more words, there's no rules to this shit. We can do whatever we want. I was just suggesting one or two words. But other than that, you might have 4 words. Share that with me also. All right, guys. So that is what I have for you guys. We're wrapping up 2021. We're going into 2022. We're going to be a lot more meaningful and a lot more purposeful. We are going to enjoy this life that we chose to incarnate at this exact time. We are no longer going to be just existing. We're going to no longer be in this feeling like we're stuck. We ain't stuck. We blocked. And if we get blocked in 2022, we know how to push that shit through. And when I say push that through, we're going to get creative. We're going to dance. We're going to raise our vibration. And we just going to keep it moving, because we deserve it. We deserve what we desire. We deserve what's on our heart. We deserve to do things that make us feel good. We deserve to be around people that make us feel good. We deserve to make other people feel good. We deserve to be fucking purposeful. Purposeful. Until next time. Bye, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to Seeing with Your Soul. If something you heard resonated with you, feel free to rate, review, and share with others. If you are looking to go deeper, you can connect with Tisha Michelle on Instagram at Mindset Slayer, or visit www.healingalignedglow.com.